Alright, sound check. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah. Alright. Three, two, one. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Players Code Talks Wrestling. We're here for another episode. Well, I'm here for another episode. Once again, Mike finds himself indisposed and will not be on this episode. So, you're stuck with me again. My apologies. Um, yeah, so no NXT this week, just Raw. Kind of keep it short. Short is relative, however long I babble for. But anyway, um, I want to preface this conversation that I'm about to have with myself and you by saying that the past couple of weeks I have used online notes, online summaries for what has happened on Raw, um, just because I haven't found myself the time to watch Raw, and but then this week rolled around, and all I saw all over online, excuse my yawn, I'm a little tired. All I saw all over the internet was just how bad this show was. And so I thought I have to make time to watch this show because you can't capture the right amount of anger unless you watched it and were there. So that's what I did. I watched Raw and took notes like I used to do, and I'm here to share that with you guys. So this is for Raw, the 25th of August. We open with a Hall of Fame form. And I'm already pissed off. Just to start. And excuse me, guys, I have a little bit of cold as well. So if you hear me cough or sniffle or whatever, my apologies. I'm just dealing with sickness. Anyway. Uh, yeah, so they open the show with this Hall of Fame forum. It's Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan, and Ric Flair. They come to the ring and they've got an announcer's table set up in the middle of the ring. Basically, this whole um, this whole thing is for them to go. All right, Michael Cole gets up there and asks. I'm not sure if it's Cole, but whatever. Anyway, somebody asks, "Who do you think is going to win between John Cena and Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions?" Now, granted, John Cena was not here last week. There's Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman cutting the promo, getting the new belt, all that stuff. So, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair both pretty handedly decide that John Cena is going to get his ass whooped again at SummerSlam at Night of Champions. And Hulk Hogan, being forever Hulk Hogan, says, no, brother, Jack, dude. John Cena is one of the greatest champions of all time, and he's gonna go into Night of Champions, brother Jack, dude, and he's gonna put up a fight, and I think he walks out with the title. And so they kind of bicker and argue. And the thing is, like, this doesn't do anything for anybody. Like, it's really just a reason to put these three guys on television. But they're not doing anything that's worth their time on television. You know? Um, it doesn't Brock Lesnar doesn't need people to tell them how good Brock Lesnar is. You know? And I'm sorry, but no matter how much of an ass kicking John Cena took at SummerSlam, and he took an ass kicking, nobody, except maybe the little kids in the stands, like maybe the kid fans, nobody expects John Cena to go into Night of Champions and take that same amount of ass kicking. It might be a beating, but I think there's going to be a lot more offense from Cena, and John's actually going to, and I'll get to that at the end of the show, but nobody is worried about, oh man, did John Cena come back? And there's rumors about John being injured and John dealing with long-term nagging injuries. Whether or not that's actually true or not, and it's something to release maybe to try and maybe get people to question what they think they know about wrestling, uh, which is an interesting thought, Or he could just be suffering from long-term injuries. The guy's been wrestling for such a long time and has been wrestling an insane schedule for almost 10 years. His body's got to be wearing down. Even no matter how safe of a worker he is, or how little, how low impact a lot of his stuff can be. Anyway, so John Cena comes out looking very intense, very non-comical John, and he owns up to getting his shit kicked in at SummerSlam. He owns up to it. He says basically it's a very short promo. It's actually a pretty good promo for John Cena. He says, "I'm not going to Night of Champions to beat Brock Lesnar." I think they could have expounded a little bit on this end because it sounds funny the way he says it. He says, "I'm not going to Night of Champions to beat Brock Lesnar. I'm going to Night of Champions to beat Brock Lesnar's ass." And it works. It got a little bit of a pop, but I feel like it would have been. I was listening to the Stone Cold Steve Austin show, and they kind of broke it down a little bit because he was talking to Paul Heyman again, and basically said he's not going there to win the belt. He's not going there to win the match against Brock Lesnar either. He doesn't care about the belt. He doesn't care about the match. He's going there to simply put a beating on Brock. And I feel like that would have come across a little more strongly than just saying, "I'm going to beat his ass." It's like, swearing for the sake of swearing, more or less. So it was an okay promo. Better than John coming out and laughing and goofing and making jokes and all that bullshit again. A lot of people think this is going to be kind of the evolution of the John Cena character, where he finally goes to the dark place that he needs to go to win this match. Does John Cena win this match? I don't know. But like I said, we'll cover that at the end of the show because John is involved in the show more. He is set to take on Bray Wyatt in the main event of this show. So we are going to get to see more of John Cena, whether you like it or not. Next up, we get Swagger versus Rusev. No Zeb, because after SummerSlam, when Rusev kicked Zeb, he's apparently injured. Whether or not it's a work or a shoot, I don't know. But Swagger comes down without Zeb. Rusev starts to use more and more heel tactics. He's sliding, he's ring escaping when he's tying up with Jack. He's not fighting straight up as much as he used to, which is nice. Because I like to see heels be heels. It's nice. Rusev gains upper hands, jumps and kicks and stop. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Also, Rusev sells like nobody else in the Federation or the company right now. He's so good at selling. Like in the SummerSlam match where he sold the ankle for the entire match. It was pretty great. Anyway, Rusev ends up with the upper hand and just starts stomping away at Swagger's injured ribs, and he does it for probably 2 or 3 minutes, to the point where the ref has to stop the match. There literally is a doctor stoppage, in WWE. So Rusev loses. But the thing is, Rusev wins, but Swagger doesn't technically lose. It's a really interesting thing they're doing with Rusev and Swagger. But basically that happens. So that happens. Rusev wins the match. Swagger's beaten up in the corner, and Bo comes down. Bo Dallas comes down and tells Swagger that he just needs to leave. Actually, sorry, that was last week. This week, Bo goes and sees Swagger in the training room and tells him that you let his country down. He just needs to leave harder and everything will be okay. Which I find funny. I'm actually kind of looking forward to the Bo Dallas Jack Swagger feud. It's gonna be interesting. One quick note about Rusev. I enjoy his matches with Jack Swagger. They tell a story pretty well. I just thought Mark Henry was going to get involved with Swagger, with Rusev, and apparently he's doing like a tag thing with the Big Show and the Wyatt family. So I don't know. Maybe they'll bring that back at some point, but that was weird. It was just one of those things that happened. He came out. He actually kicked Rusev's ass, and then Rusev kind of rolled out, and then maybe somebody in the back went, no. He's not ready for the ass kicking yet. So maybe they backed off on that. Anyway, RVD versus Cesaro for the number 1 contender spot for the U.S. title. Sheamus on commentary. Now, considering that it was pretty highly publicized that RVD, his stint with the WWE is done after last week, it's pretty. Yeah, Cesaro's gonna win. I mean, it's not like we wouldn't know that. So, not a bad match. These guys actually get pretty good a lot out of each other by this point. But very short. Cesaro hits the neutralizer for the win, and then antagonizes Sheamus afterwards. So we're gonna get Sheamus and Cesaro at Night of Champions for the United States title. Um, yeah, RVD, man, I'm not 100% sure what he came back for. Because he didn't really do any big angle with anybody to put them over. Uh, Maybe they just needed another guy for the Money in the Bank match. He worked a lot with Cesaro, but Cesaro really didn't go anywhere during that time. He actually kind of lost stock. Not because of RVD, but just simply because they don't really know what to do with him. With Brock coming back and Daniel Bryan leaving and them having to do so much shuffling, I feel like a lot has gotten lost in that shuffle. Up next, you got Paige versus Natalya. I expect good things besides the obvious tits and ass. Sadly, not as good a match as I was expecting, not because it wasn't very long. I think these two could actually put on a pretty good match just because Natalya being a good technical wrestler and Paige just being a good technical wrestler and a good brawler. I just think they could both. I think they could put on a good match. Paige wins with the Paige Turner. AJ comes out and Paige eats a spinning clothesline from Natalya for whatever reason. So then they're frenemies apparently is what they've been called, and I'm questioning like is this like the PG version of lesbians? Because you got AJ go in the ring, she gives Paige a hug, she like kisses her hand, and like they're doing they had chocolates last week I think. It's just it's they're doing the best they can to make it sexual without crossing the line into PG-13 where people actually realize that it's sexual. Um, or they're just trying to out crazy each other, which is possible. Um, it was weird, but it was hot. Always love AJ. Paige is obviously one of my favorites, and I like Natalya. Natalya's a good wrestler, and she also is very good looking. So I know I don't comment on the men looking whatever bullshit. Fuck off. And then they did a quick replay of AJ kissing Paige's hand 15 seconds after it happened. It's like whoever's in the back, like going, "Did you see it? Did you see that one girl kiss that other girl's hand? Did you see it? Did you miss it? Did you miss it? They missed it. 50. Play it again. Play it again." It's like fuck's sake. Some 15-year-old, fucking meathead is in the back running the camera, going, "Let's just have the chick kiss the other chick's hand. Let's just replay it over and over again. It'd be hot." It's like, good fucking Christ. It just pissed me off, man. It just pisses me off. The way they do that shit nowadays just pisses me the fuck off. Corporate Kane and Seth Rollins are holding a ceremony for the apparently dead Dean Ambrose. He took off to do a movie, obviously, so he's gone. I really enjoy listening to Seth talk. He's one of those guys that's just he seems very comfortable on the microphone. Roman Reigns comes out to break up the ceremony, and Roman Reigns comes out to take on to confront Seth Rollins and Corporate Kane. 3 months too late. Because what, they broke up after Payback. So then there was what, Battleground and SummerSlam between those two? Yes. So yeah, and 2.5, 3 months. Yeah. It's just really weird that Roman Reigns like is just sitting in the back going, maybe watching this segment on the television going, "Oh yeah, he hit me with a chair and betrayed me when we were brothers in the Shield. I should go have a strong talking to with that guy." He just kind of said, "Fuck it. They're saying I'm gonna be champion. I'm gonna go over here." So he goes down and clears the house, cleans house, but Rollins is saved from the spear by Kane. So then they declare that there will be a handicap match between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Kane. Woo. At least it's not a 6-man tag match. Oh wait. Oh wait, no, sorry, that happens in the other main event. My bad, I'm spoiling things now. Anyway, we got the Usos versus the Dust Brothers for the tag team titles. Holy fuck, a tag team title match. If you guys watched last week's episode and listened to me piss and moan about tag teams for probably, I'd say, at least a half hour of that hour-long episode, fuck it, I'm happy now. I got a tag team title match for free, which is weird. But anyway, not a bad match. It's just, with the Usos, everything just feels so formulaic. I mean, I know that's what it is, tag team and really professional wrestling in general. but you can still keep it interesting. You can still do different things. And the Usos do a lot of different things, but they do the same different things every time. It's like you watch one Uso match, you've watched them all. And I mean, you could say that about a lot of tag teams, but I don't know. It just sticks out more with the Usos for me. They go for the Uso dive over the top rope. One of them hurts his knee. The other one was too bad. Got beaten up on the outside, I guess. The camera wasn't really on him at any time, and they get counted out. So they roll back in the ring, and obviously the tag titles can't change hands on a countout. So the Usos retain, and the Dust Brothers grab a mic and basically say, "You got counted out on purpose. This is bullshit." And they start kicking the shit out of the Usos, and they beat the shit out of Jey Uso and his bum knee. He was the one who hurt his knee on the dive, on the dive, and they wrapped it around the ring post a few times, and so basically the Dust Brothers are heel now, which is, I guess, makes sense because they're feuding for the tag belts against the face Usos, but fuck, man. I'm not going to bitch about the tag team division this week. I'm not going to do it. All I'm saying is I hope it lasts longer than the last two tag team feuds. Granted, the Wyatt ones did go to 2 pay-per-views, but anyway, fuck it. I'm not going to talk about it. Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz. We come to find out that Miz says he is not going to be wrestling. Instead, his stunt double will be competing. And we get Damien Mizdow. Actually kind of an interesting twist. Sandow, obviously, he's on TV every week. So, I guess you can't knock the guy. Quick match, though. Ziggler hits a zigzag for the win. Nothing special. Up next, we got the family reconciliation, they called it, between Brie Bella and Nikki Bella. Basically, oh god. They need to not let Brie talk. Ever. She is quite possibly one of the worst actresses I've ever seen. It's bad. Like, it is just one note, and it's just, it's terrible. Nikki, on the other hand, is actually pretty good. I don't know if it helps that she gets to be the heel, so she gets to be eviler, and that just comes off. That just comes off easier, I guess, than trying to be like the damsel in distress. Poor me, poor me. I'm not 100% sure, but basically, Nikki actually cuts not a bad promo. Still not great with her acting skill, but the promo itself was halfway decent. And she punctuates it with, "I wish you died in the womb," which was, holy shit, like, that escalated quickly. And then Nikki beats Brie down. So it's 2 weeks in a row. Brie's basically kind of taking her ass in her hands and got kicked. She got kind of sent out last week and then this week. So we're probably looking maybe some Brie retaliation here in the next couple of weeks, going into, I would assume, their match at what's the next pay-per-view? Night of Champions, that one. So yeah, like I said, not a great segment by any means, but not terrible. It was pretty terrible, but not atrocious. We're getting to the, and you guys are probably wondering, like, yeah, this show doesn't sound too bad. I wonder what Caleb's so pissed off about. Oh, it'll come. It will come. Up next, you got Roman Reigns versus Rollins and Kane. Pretty much your standard handicap match. Heels beat down the face. The face makes a comeback. Blah blah blah. I do agree with a lot of criticisms that Roman Reigns has, is that Roman needs more moves in his moveset. Because the Superman punch, the jump kick on the apron, and then the spear, it's really his 3 moves of doom. It's just he just needs to put a bit more in there. There needs to be a bit more offense from him. Besides that, Reigns had it won, but he gets clocked with the briefcase, and they tried to kill Reigns with the cinder blocks like they did to Ambrose last week, but Reigns fights his way back. Superman punches the shit out of Kane and throws a cinder block at Rollins, and Rollins ducks and it hits the ring post and explodes. But so he tries to kill Rollins, and that didn't work. And then Rollins scampers off. So the match technically ended in disqualification when Seth used the briefcase on Roman. So, I guess with Ambrose being gone, even though he's Ambrose's filming is supposed to wrap up like the day before Night of Champions. I don't know if we'll see him at Night of Champions, and I guess Roman needs something to do now that he beat Randy Orton already, and they're not gonna have him take on Triple H for at least a while. The rumor is till Survivor Series. So I guess they need something for him to do, and they figured out, hey, let's reheat that feud that happened 2.5 months ago. So whatever. Up next, the long-awaited return of the Los Matadores versus Slater Gator, which, if you haven't heard, is Heath Slater and Titus O'Neil as a tag team. I think they're trying to recapture that kind of Hell No team, or any tag team where the two tag guys don't like each other, but they work well as a tag team. They're kind of the comedy tag team without being overt like the Los Matadores. Matadors would have the roll up. There really wasn't much here. Bo Dallas versus Kofi Kingston. I don't care what anyone says. I love Bo. Bo is awesome. Kofi does most of the work, but it's a short match, and Bo hits a pretty shittily botched Bo dog. He goes to go up the top turnbuckle, kind of misses, runs along the second rope, and then kind of goes from the second rope to the top rope and bounces. So he botched it, but he did make the save. He did save it. So he hits the Bo dog. He's doing his victory lap around the ring. He comes back in the ring, and then Swagger shows up and body slams the shit out of him. So I think we'll probably end up seeing Bo versus Swagger, which would be right now with Swagger being a pretty popular face, and Bo kind of needing to be built up a little bit. I think this could be a good starter feud because the people really like Swagger. The We the People thing caught on really fast. His program with Rusev was pretty decent. So I think he's a good starting platform for Bo. I'm kind of sad they gave up on Bo's undefeated streak. It kind of sucks because it was a good thing to have there. You could always go to that when you needed heat. But anyway, all right. So up next we have John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. Cena absolutely destroys Bray. He suplexes Bray at least 4 or 5 times. German suplexes, mind you. He dominates, just absolutely dominates Bray Wyatt. A guy who was supposed to be a threat to John Cena's legacy back in April. You know, the guy who controlled demon children to win a cage match against John Cena Extreme Rules. The other Wyatts get involved, and then Mark Henry and Big Show come down, and they get involved to save Cena. So we go to commercial, we come back, and we have ourselves an impromptu 6-man tag match, which makes all kinds of fucking sense. Cena makes Harper tap with the AA, and then hits with the STF, and then delivers an AA to each member of the Wyatt family in turn. Bray, Eric, and then Luke. The Wyatt family. So, my last few notes, and I read them verbatim. Any momentum that the Wyatt family had is now gone. Dead. Fuck this show. Sorry, I have to make sure I read the verbatim to you. Fuck this show. Fuck Vince. Fuck Cena. Apparently, from what I've read around the internet, John Cena being made to look that strong was Vince's doing, and apparently it happened very close to Showtime. This is why I'm angry. Because not only were they building Bray up with John Cena and John Cena's feud, and yet granted Bray did not come out of that feud looking good really at all. He won one match, and he won it crappily, and John Cena still looked fucking super strong in that match that he lost. So, but Bray came out of that, went into a program with Jericho, and that was weird. Like, and then apparently there was rumor that the finish of the match at SummerSlam was switched at the last minute for Jericho to go over on Bray, which didn't make any sense. And then Bray pretty handedly defeats Jericho at SummerSlam, which is good. Bray finally gets a win. He gets a win over a big star. He does it with a lot of aggression and a lot of finality to it. He does it well. And then not only does Bray get buried by John Cena, they bury Luke and Eric Rowan. These two guys who are a pretty good tag team. And he just buries them, single-handedly buries them. They could have fed anybody else to John Cena. And I get it. You feed anybody else to John Cena, well, it doesn't seem like that much of a threat if we used somebody else. Bray Wyatt was a threat to John Cena. He's beaten John Cena. He shittily, but he's beaten John Cena. Excuse me. Okay. But how do you recover from that? Which, I mean, I assume he will. I assume Bray will be fine, and hopefully, like I want, Bray will go on to be a big star. But how do you this is the thing that these are the things that happen that cause, like, look at Ryback. Ryback was huge. If Mike were here, he'd agree with me. And then he got fed to Cena. Really, the only people that haven't had that happen to them are Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. Those are the two guys that actually went into a program with Cena and came out not unscathed, but came out well enough to continue. Whereas there are so many people that have not done that at all. And, I read a lot of stuff John Cena puts out publicly about. I just do what the company tells me. You fans come at me saying, well, why are you winning? Why are you doing blah, blah, blah? You bitching at me when I just do what the creative tells me. If that's the case, you are just as bad as somebody who wants to go over all the time. Because if you listen to anybody who's made it big in this business, Stone Cold is a good example. The Rock is a good example. Mick Foley is a good example. You listen to anybody who was on top or close to the top in this business, they will tell you you have to challenge what you're told. Not all the time. You pick and choose your battles. But you have to challenge. And John Cena probably has more weight to throw around than any other person in that locker room. He's not going to be fired. He's not going to have his time on the show cut. He's not going to go on a losing streak. Unless that losing streak somehow leads him back to the championship. He's John fucking Cena. He's the face of the company. The top selling, he has the highest selling merchandise in the company. It is, like I said, it's almost worse that he doesn't go to creative and say, you know what, guys, this just doesn't work. Why would I do this? Why would we do this? Why would we go out of our way to bury 3 of our upcoming stars just to make me look more dangerous? Well, we could do that another way. We could use guys who aren't trying to continue to break through. It's just, I'm frustrated. And I'm putting aside my personal like for Bray Wyatt. If this were to happen to say the Shield were still together, and John Cena came out and he picked apart the Shield piece by piece, one guy, that may have happened because I know they fucked with John Cena and I missed it. John, if you don't want people to come to you and call you out as to why you are, from what some people call a cancer in the business, which is not true. I dislike John Cena, but he's not a cancer. He's just. But if you want to change people's perceptions, you have to change them. You can't wait for creative to write you a good spot or write you a good promo. and maybe he doesn't want to change. Maybe he's happy with the big paychecks coming in and all that stuff. But the product is suffering. Will suffer. And like I said, Bray might bounce back. The Wyatts all might bounce back. Everything will be fine. And all my bitching will be for nothing. But the problem is, I've seen it happen too many times to too many wrestlers not to be worried. And it makes me worry even more for the future. Say Cena's still around. Kevin Steen comes up to the main show. Kevin Steen gets fed to Cena. Backstage looks at him and goes, maybe he's not as good as we thought he was. Same with Prince or Kenta. This is one of the things where this can't go on. This cannot go on. Enough of my bitching. Social media stuff up on the screen. Like our Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Twitter will tell you every time a video goes up. Facebook is kind of a little more, not a little bit more personal. Feel free to leave comments, questions. Tell me I'm an asshole. I appreciate that. Thank you guys very much for listening. I'm sorry it was a one-man show this week. Sorry it was a little bit shorter than normal. I just don't feel like going in NXT and doing all that. It's just kind of Mike's thing. But coming up next week, check my calendar real quick. Let's see. Is it next week or the week after? It is the week after. Okay. So in 2 weeks, we've got ourselves the NXT pay-per-view. So I think we will do a show for the NXT pay-per-view. Possibly just like standalone like we do for the other pay-per-views. Maybe, depending on when it falls. If it's actually on a Thursday, I think we might actually then just incorporate it into the normal episode. So, anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. My apologies again for being sick, being only me, and me bitching so goddamn much. Before we sign off, just want to say a little bit of piece of news. Jake Roberts, Jake the Snake, in the hospital over the weekend. Seems to be doing okay, but just one of those things where you don't want to lose another one. So I'd just like to say, hope Jake feels better, gets better, and keeps kicking. So thank you guys very much for listening, and I will catch you guys in the next show.